This is Amud Yomi Gemara in Shabbos. Daf Mem Hey Amud Aleph, and we're holding on Mem Hey Amud Aleph, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the Machlekes Rav Yehuda Rav Shimon, and more particularly the Shita of Rav Shimon. So we begin with a Shaila Boyimine Reish Lakish Mi Rav Yochanan. Reish Lakish asks the following Shaila from Rav Yochanan. We're about 15 lines down. Mem Hey Amud Aleph. The first word on the line is Lakish. Chitin shezaron bekarka. We have wheat that you planted in the ground. Ubeitzim, or eggs shetachas tarnagolos, that are underneath the hen, the chicken, to incubate them. Now, according to Rav Shimon, what is the status of these items? You planted the wheat on Friday. Obviously, it did not take root, because if it took root, it would be usher to pick up due to the fact that you'd be detaching it from the ground. Or you have this egg that didn't start growing yet. What is the status? Ki lastly, Rav Shimon Muksa says Rav Yochanan, Rish Lakish Rav Yochanan. When Rav Shimon doesn't hold a Muksa, is that that's only when he doesn't proactively dachi, push away the item. But maybe where someone goes, takes a piece of wheat and puts it in the ground. What's he saying when he does that? Of course, he's trying to grow it. But with regard to Shabbos usage, what he's saying is, I'm not using the item. I'm a doich, I push it away biyadayim. So maybe in that case, Rav Shimon would agree, Islay Muksa, that there would be Muksa. Oidelmo, or maybe Oishna, or maybe there's no difference according to Rav Shimon, that as long as the item has a Shabbos usage according to Rav Shimon, it would not be Muksa. That was the fundamental Shaila that Rish Lakish asked to Rav Yochanan. Amar lei, Rav Yochanan responds, Ein Muksa l'Rav Shimon. I don't care that it was set aside, it is not Muksa. Elo, Shemin Shebener B'Shashutalik. While the candle is burning, while the item is actively involved, at that moment, it's actively being part of and designated and separated for the mitzvah of Shabbos candles, then it's muksa. Hoksali isurai, therefore it's also while it is burning. But aside from that, I don't care that it was dachi biyadayim. I don't care that you placed it in the ground. Lamaisa, Rav Shimon does not hold of muksa. Says the Gemara, Velesli Hoksal mitzvah. So the way that Rav Yochanan answered was Hayil v'hoksal mitzvasai, hoksal isurai. So it sounds like, according to Rav Yochanan's understanding of Rav Shimon, that these two items have to converge. Hoksal mitzvasai and hoksal isurai. Based upon that, says the Gemara, is something only hoksal mitzvasai not enough? But less like hoksal mitzvasai. V'atanya, but we have a brisa that says sicha kilchasai. If someone puts up schach ke'alacha, v'eta b'kram v'sedinim amsuyarim, and he puts up tapestries, and he puts up linens. Excuse me, to adorn and decorate the sukkah. And V'talavai, he hangs goizim, nuts, ufarsikin, peaches, shkedim, almonds, rimainim, pomegranates. V'avarcha she'shalanavim, clusters of grapes, v'tarin shel shibailan, wreaths of grain. Yenain, he puts up bottles of yenais, of wine, ushmanim, and oils, uslasais, and flour, Asr listabik behem. All these items you cannot use. They're hanging, got a bottle of wine hanging from your schach. You can't use it. Ad matzah yantav achron. But vim hisna lema kolafi tonight. So what do we see? This has nothing to do with Isser, but the fact that my wine bottle is hanging as schach, the fact that my grapes or any of these other items are put up as schach, hoksal mitzvasai, for the mitzvah of sukkah, to adorn the sukkah, that itself seemingly is enough to create a level of muksa, according to Rav Shimon. And it doesn't need necessarily the second entity that hooks ali isuroi, like by the candle. Says the Gemara, very nice, but neither Rav Shimon. How do you know that Mishnah's Rav Shimon? Tani Rav Yosef. Tani Rav Chaber Yosef Kamid Rav Yechon. Ein nights and eight minutes of Yantiv, and I'll take wood from a second Yantiv. Element as samach, only that which is near it. Rav Shimon matir. Vishavin, but they agree. Visuk is a chag b'chag. Shehi asira, that the wood is aser. V'mistalei makol itinoi. So says the Gemara, we see that Rav Shimon agrees that the wood of the sukkah is muksa just from the fact that it's set aside as the mitzvah. So we see that clearly it is shitas Rav Shimon that hoksal mitzvah on its own creates a level of muksa. Answers of the Gemara, Ke'ein shemesh habener kamrinon. When is it muksa according to Rav Shimon? When it's similar to shemen shebener while it is burning, while it is actively and currently being used for the mitzvah. Therefore, hoksali yisurai, meaning hoksali yisurai is not a separate condition. It's the result that as long as this item is being used for the mitzvah, it is designated for Isra, but only for that amount of time. Afterwards, it will not be Itmanami. We see this explicitly. Amar Chebar Rabam Rav Yechon Ein Muksa Rav Shimon Alkin Shem Shem Rav Shoshu Dailek Hayal Voksel Mitzvasai Hoksam Lei Surai. Says the Gemara, dealing a little bit deeper, and she does Rav Shimon, 15 lines on the bottom. First word on the line is Le Mitzvasai. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel Ein Muksa Rav Shimon Ela Gregorius and Simukim Bilvad. Dried figs and raisins that you put them out to dry and they're not dry yet. Rav Shimon will agree that they're muksa. Why? Because they have no usage. So Rav Shimon doesn't hold the muksa, barring hooks mitzvasai. But Rav Shimon will also agree if the item has no usage, then of course Rav Shimon will also agree it's muksa. Says the Gemara, according to Rav Shimon, is nothing else muksa. Tanya, we learned in a brayso, he served someone who's eating figs and he left some over. The hell, Gagi brought them up to the roof last time and Gregorius to make figs out of them to dry them. But Navim, where he's eating grapes, well, he's starting to leave some over. Only Gagi last one, Simukin to make raisins. Lo yoichal, he's not allowed to eat macha yasmin till he designates them for usage on Shabbos. And similarly, we find peaches and quinces, different types of fruits, all types of fruits. So what do we see? That all types of fruits, once you put them out to dry, are muksa, not just figs and grapes. So mani, Rav Yehuda, then it's no sheiches. We know that Rav Yehuda also muksa in all scenarios, even when you don't set it aside to dry out, even when you don't push it away with your hands. Heicha, did Achar be a daim lo kol shegain? Elav Rav Shimon. And yet, what do we see? Fully usable items, because you set them aside, according to Rav Shimon, become muksa. Answers the Gemara, no. Le'olam Rav Yehuda. 4 lines from the bottom, really it is Shitas Rav Yehuda. And the Chiddush is the food becomes muksa according to Rav Yehuda. Since he's eating them as he puts them out, slowly by Yazmana, they don't actually have to be prepared for Shabbos usage, and therefore maybe it should not be muksa kamash malan. Chiddush the other way, Rav Yehuda doesn't hold the muksa, but kivan dehelim legag asuach aschei taita minei, that even food, says the Gemara, according to Rav Yehuda, massive chiddush. If you proactively put it away, that you're not using it, that itself could create a level of muksa. But we don't have a kash in Rav Shimon. Rav Shimon will only hold Gregorius and Tzimukim and muksa machmas mitzvah machmas isurai. We'll pick it up from here. Amirtza Hashem.